Friends, welcome to Mind and Intellect Conversations. One thing we all need to understand, if not master it, is how to deal with karma. Karma is a Sanskrit word which means action, and all human beings are subject to karma. You can't escape karma. Whatever you have done, good or bad, comes back to you. So it is our prerogative to understand how karma functions, how to deal with it, in fact, how you can rise above it. So stay tuned for this very important episode. You will really get benefited.
Welcome to today's episode. We're joined by Mr. Rahul Gupta, entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist with nearly 2 decades of impact. Educated at Durham, Wharton, and IIM Ahmedabad, Rahul has led business turnarounds, innovations, and sustainable growth across industries. As the head of Globson Business School, he has transformed education with tech-driven global collaborations, making GBS Eastern India's #1 B school. His work in vocational training has empowered 100,000 plus youth in AI, blockchain, and cybersecurity. Rahul is also an investor in startups across AI, fintech, and fine dining. And his JR Foundation supports healthcare, education, and wildlife conservation. A recipient of multiple awards, he's a true changemaker.
Welcome to Mind and Intellect Conversations, Rahul.
Thank you, Shri.
Just to highlight about Rahul, I consider Rahul as a younger brother. I don't know whether he considers me as elder brother, but I consider him as a younger brother, a person whom I have known closely for the last few years and maybe more, but it feels like as if I've known him for a long period of time. He has multifaceted traits, qualities. He's a second generation entrepreneur. He did his education extremely well in the United States, and there's so many hats he wears. You're gonna learn more about him, but one of the intricate discussions we're going to have with Rahul today, Rahul Gupta, is understanding karma. I've known his father and his parents also well.
Yeah.
Great family. And with you, we can't discuss simple concepts, Rahul. You got to discuss something in depth which impacts not just you, everyone. So that's the thing. And thank you for joining us, Rahul. Very kind of you.
Well, thank you very much, Shriji. And it's an absolute honor and a pleasure to sit and sort of have this discussion with you. This is a different format in which we're going to have a discussion. Of course, you and I both, and lucky. I feel extremely lucky that I've had the opportunity to have very in-depth conversation about different facets of life, and karma being one of them. And when I moved in 2020 to Dubai, I think meeting you and then your friendship, plus also the kind of knowledge you have on Vedanta, your life journey is so inspirational. And I think a lot of us has benefited. Me personally, as you're aware, have benefited immensely from it. And I look forward to having many such discussions. And today is an interesting one. So let's get into that.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to hear.
Perfect. Shriji, I think, let's start with the fundamentals, right? So if you can help us understand in a simplistic way, what is karma? And I think we start with the definition and go deeper into its impact later. But if we start by understanding what is karma, that would be helpful.
Right. Karma, as I mentioned, is a Sanskrit word meaning action. The karma word is derived from the Sanskrit root to create, to do, to act. And even the English word karma, action, is derived from the root create. In fact, karma is now a part of the lexicon. It's there in the English dictionary. Everybody uses so freely. It's all your karma. Much more than in India, you go to the West, it's all your karma. So that is one aspect, and not many are aware. They are aware of it in minuscule ways. There are 2 aspects to karma. One is what commonly understood as karma yoga, which is there in the Bhagavad Gita and in various texts. Karma means action. Yoga is union with divinity through action.
Got it.
So we are all functioning. Even before we came to this podcast, you are on the phone call, doing your karma, your action, You're in the field of education, you're an entrepreneur, you are functioning.
Yeah.
So karma yoga, the yoga of action, gives you the blueprint of right action, how you can multiply your productivity, how you can enhance your concentration, how you can dissolve your ego. And all that aspect is ingrained in this beautiful concept or a learning called karma yoga. So that's one way karma is used. The another way, which we'll be dealing in depth today, is law of karma. Law of karma. Law of karma is based on the law of cause and effect. Science says for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction.
All right.
Your body, your mind, and intellect are subject to law of karma. So none of us, as I mentioned, nobody can escape law of karma. If you have done good or bad, it comes back to you at a certain point of time. So understanding karma and dealing with it in the right ways is something which is essential for each one of us. All other animals, they go through the karma, but they can't do much. A tiger is ferocious. It cannot think in any other way. It cannot suddenly turn compassionate. Why am I doing this?
Right.
A cow is meek and mild. It cannot turn aggressive. How everybody is misusing or people are misusing me. I don't want to be like that. It cannot turn aggressive. They have a set karma. They function that way. A human being is subject to greater karma, and we have to learn how to deal with it. Otherwise, we become or we lead ourselves to trouble.
Because we have that choice to make, which
Correct.
other beings don't.
Don't have.
Right? But when we look at karma impacting into our lives, and you just mentioned about it impacting both at the physical level, emotional level, as well as probably at the energy level.
Right.
Right? How does one deal with it in their day-to-day life? If I have to look at it from a person who is getting up, going to work, coming back, leading a middle-class life, how does that impact on a day-to-day life for a youngster?
See, as you mentioned, which is actually a blessing, which is the choice of action. What we call as purushartha or the self-effort. The potential of choice of action is there. Self-effort, which is purushartha, purusha means being, artha means meaning. The meaning, you give meaning to your own life by using the purushartha, self-effort, or the free will in the right manner. Each one of us are subject to karma. As I mentioned, you can't escape it. Every action becomes a cause that will produce a certain kind of an effect. I repeat, every action becomes a cause which will produce a certain kind of effect.
Yes.
And law of karma functions on cause and effect. Whatever you do, good or bad, we have to reap the result of that action.
Correct.
They say day by day, we are creating causes which determine our fate. There's a beautiful statement. Now, you have a choice with reference to the choice you can make, but you don't have a choice with reference to the consequence of your choices. I repeat, you have a choice with reference to the choices. The moment
You can choose to choose.
correct. You have a choice to choose whatever you want, but you can't choose the outcome of it. Whatever you have, your prerogative, your strength, your control lies only in what choice you can make. You don't have a choice with reference to the consequence of your choices.
Got it.
So therefore, as a person who's dealing with a day-to-day life, I may not have a control over the consequences, but I have a control over the choices. So once you start dealing with it gracefully, that maturity will give you to deal with the consequences also well.
Right.
Otherwise, we fall a victim to various things. There is this in the Vedantic learning, they say the three aspects: dharma, punya, sukha. Dharma means right action. Punya means the merit accruing out of right action. Sukha meaning happiness.
Got it.
So everyone wants to experience happiness, but that becomes an effect. The cause is the right action. We're not talking about ethical or value. It is the right action. Whatever you're fallen down, you have to take care of it. Whatever the right action. So the right action becomes the cause. In the punya, dharma becomes the cause, punya becomes an effect, which is the merit. And punya becomes the cause, happiness, sukha becomes the effect.
Effect of it.
So, right action, proper action, merit, happiness. The other way they say is papa, dukkha, and papa, another what you call adharma, papa, and dukkha. Adharma is wrong action, negative actions, which leads to demerit, which causes a certain kind of unhappiness, sorrow.
Got it.
So, happiness, everyone is looking for happiness. Nobody is comfortable being sorrowful. Got to dharma. That word has been, it's a beautiful word. Is it my dharma? You do the right action. Here, right action means a confluence of your mind and intellect.
Yes.
Your mind adheres to it, intellect supports it. Your emotion and clarity combined together, you make a choice. For that, you reap a merit. And that merit manifests as happiness. Or if you have not done it, you're in trouble. There is adharma, there is papa, and there is dukkha. So, karma, go ahead.
But so it's interesting what you're saying, and the way I understood you is karma, but fundamentally is very neutral. It is only the choices that you make. Whether it's positive, you get positive back. You make negative, you get negative back.
Right.
But if you look at pure karma as action per se, it stands in a neutrality in some context, right?
Correct.
So when we have to look at impact of karma in our life, it is all driven by actions of people. Now, they could be, and again, this is one area I would like to ask you again, elaborate, that people talk about our karmic actions in this particular life. There is a concept of past life, karma coming into this life. Can you elaborate for us, how does one distinguish between the two?
Right.
And how do I know when I'm going through a situation in my life, okay, this is karmic versus which it is not?
Right. I mean, see, it's an interesting aspect. Law of causation, which governs all, has two aspects. Law of destiny and law of karma.
Okay.
Law of destiny deals with your past and the present. If you're blissful, you feel peaceful, serene, it is derived from the past. You have worked on yourself. And you have derived from you are happy in spite of everything.
Got it.
The law of destiny deals with your past and the present.
Got it.
In that way, you are a product of the past when it comes to law of destiny. The next aspect, which pertains to more human beings as such, is called law of karma. First is law of destiny, now law of karma. I'm repeating it. When I do this on a public lecture, I make everybody repeat so that it's ingrained. Law of destiny deals with your past and the present. Law of karma deals with your past, present, and the future. That's why I say karma is interconnected. It is derived from the past. The present is derived from the past. The future will be delivered from the present. So law of karma, when we say...
So does destiny have karma in it, right?
It is.
So,
that's why when you look at destiny alone, you're a product of the past.
Correct.
But when you take karma, law of karma into account, you are a producer of the future. Like you are a son of your father, you could be the father of your son.
Correct.
It is destiny. What happens? A person who functions on the mind only looks at why this happened, and they function on the mind. They will never find right answers. They remain what they call as they're receivers of consequences. They function on the mind. Their choices becomes faulty, and they start giving in to destiny beyond a point.
Okay.
There's a statement, how much ever you revisit your past, there's nothing new to learn there. Another, the past is given not only to understand the consequences, but to construct your future.
Correct.
You learn from the past, use those lessons in the present. As a result, you construct your future.
Got it.
So, law of karma is what we are in control of. Destiny, at any point of time, you are a product of your past. And but as a human being, you have this potential of the law of karma, which is, in fact, my question to you, I find you're a destiny's child. You're born, many of the viewers, I'm sure, will be stunned with the way you're born, and everything looks absolutely normal now, and you're born with a certain heart condition.
Correct.
And I keep highlighting, you're annoyed, I know, the pulmonary valve, which is not there. And I remember talking to you and I says, what is that?
Yeah.
And you are so upset. I mean, you have no idea how important it is in an individual. You are destiny's child.
Yeah.
But you went through whatever you went through at the age of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
How did you deal with it? Because that's a great... See, the fact that we called you is karma absolutely fits in. And you have dealt with it, in my observation and understanding, you've dealt with it gracefully. People could have gone down with that, but you dealt with it gracefully, not impress you, genuinely.
Yeah.
Genuinely. So, how did you deal with it?
I think, Shriji, for me, I'm blessed to have amazing parents. I think it's a lot of their karma that allowed me to live the way and grow up the way that I did. I think my parents growing up made me feel very normal as a normal child. And I think, so the credit actually goes to them a lot in terms of how they made me feel. Because when I was a kid, I really didn't have a choice. It was their decisions that they were taking based on which I was growing up. And of course, I had a very complex cardiac problem and went through, I was born a congenital child, and I went through a severe surgery. I still have to go through perhaps a few more surgeries in my life. But I think the way to deal with it at the personal level, beyond the help I got from my family, was, looking at the glass to be half full and not looking at it as half empty.
Right.
I think what happens is when you even have a small cut in your hand, you start focusing on the cut, it becomes really painful. But if you look at the whole hand and you say, okay, there's a cut, I've got a Band-Aid on it, there's a lot more you can do with the hand, right? So I think for me, my cardiac situation is that cut. And I'm aware of it. I have total acceptance of it, but I don't give it the importance beyond what is required medically. And I think that's really allowed me to transcend that fear of what will happen to me if something goes wrong. And here, like I said, I think a lot to do with the family and the parents as well. But a lot as well to do on the self-growth part as well. I think acceptance and other things has really, really helped me. This is the way I have understood myself. I don't know how else.
I mean, excellent, Rahul, because at this, if I elaborate a little further, with all the heart condition, you are not expected to be after a certain age.
Correct.
Am I right?
Right. I mean, children, and there are many such children in our world, and India, of course, now, who, when they're born with CHDs, they have a very shortened life expectancy. Typically it's, getting into their teens, and that's about it. Of course, if you are detected ahead of time and you take care of it, your longevity increases. But otherwise, it's a short-lived life. And of course, you need you need maintenance after that. So it can be emotionally very daunting. There are limitations I've had in terms of physical activities I can or cannot do. There are places in this world I would love to go, which I can't, and because of height and other things. But like I said, if you look at the whole world in totality, that's probably 10%.
Right.
There's 90% of the places I can go. So my, mantra in life has always been like, focus on what you have, not what you don't have. And that's really helped me. And I think, I'm blessed with people like yourself who continuously educate me. And I use a lot of that to my life as practice. My friends, my family, where, they're reassuring me that there's more to life than just focusing on the limitations.
Right.
And honestly, that's been the simple sort of formula for me to survive.
See,
positively.
the way you explain, it looks child's play, but it isn't.
Yeah.
What I find, you developed a certain sense of acceptance. There was clarity, there was acceptance, there was emotional support, not just from your parents and friends, from Janine, your dear wife.
Oh, yeah.
And so my question, I'm asking you this question is, what made you develop that sense of acceptance? What was that clarity which propel you to develop a sense of acceptance. As a result, there's a smile in your face, in spite of everything.
Yeah.
So,
Understanding from your classes, presence of mind and a sharp intellect. That is what has helped me. But no, seriously, I think acceptance comes when you're surrounded with people who have gone through a transformative journey in their life. And their journey can be different than yours. And I believe that I've been fortunate to have friends and people who have had such inspirational journey. And I believe that every individual is so unique and different, and that you can get inspired from each life. And that has inspired me a lot. Somebody going through a huge emotional separation can be the world for them.
Right.
It could be for me, my health. But I've seen them deal with it gracefully. So I've learned that element and I've incorporated that into my life. And therefore, a little bit of acceptance has come in.
Right.
Somebody has gone through a life-changing experience at their older age, and they've dealt with that gracefully. So I've understood the importance of life. So I'll say, why worry about today, when I can live a better life? So the bits and pieces of people, and I always say the people you surround yourself with, your quality of life is a byproduct of that. So that's been a major, major help. And our Vedanta classes, and again, I'm not saying this for any other reason, but factually and actually having a community like the way we have in Dubai, where we go for our Sunday classes and meet such amazing people, it helps a lot. And I'm sure it helps everybody to deal with their different sort of limitations that they have in life. So that's been sort of my mantra.
Fantastic. See, what you highlight very succinctly is you used your free will properly.
Yes.
You used your self-effort diligently. There is this beautiful statement. Between stimuli and response, there is this space. And in that space lies your potential to make a choice. And with that choice gives you freedom and growth.
Correct.
So, and this is completely individualistic. I mean, I find it's a fascinating explanation of what is self-effort, what is right choices. Between stimuli and response, there is a sacred space.
Yes.
In that space lies your potential to make a choice,
Correct.
to choose. And with that right choices, it gives you freedom and growth. And if you are...
Correct. And Shriji, when we were talking about, impact of karma, and I'm going to connect this back to that free will and the choice. When we were looking at impact of karma, I think I have understood to deal with certain things which I believe to be karma by looking at things which are repetitive in my life, number one. So I feel that if it's something I can deal with and fix, I feel that's circumstantial. But if I feel something is repetitive, despite all my effort, something is coming back to me again and again, I at times, beyond a point, just go through acceptance of that. I know I can't fix it, right? Like my cardiac situation is one such example. I can't fix it. Similarly, I feel that if something springs up all of a sudden and it's unexpected, I was not planning for it, I also look at that as a signal from a karmic perspective. So, okay, maybe something, it is meant to be this way.
Right.
And those understandings have become deeper and deeper for me as and when I've surrounded with people who have traveled similar journeys. And I've learned from their experiences and their reputations of effort and seen. So I feel that, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because but this is something a lot of us go through in their life. When we look at the impact of karma and how do you deal with it in our day-to-day life. So what do you think? How does one deal with karma?
Right.
When you see these things happening repetitively in your life, what's the mantra? What's the way to do it?
See, the people who deal with it in a negative manner are those who functioning on their mind and impulses.
Yeah.
When they go through some setback, a separation, a financial loss, or some aspect, once you bring in the mind, why is this happening to me? Therefore, there is first denial. Why is that? And then there is anger. There's frustration. Then you start asking wrong questions. So they become pessimistic. Yeah. And you can't deal with, such people are dealing with it in a wrong manner. Why me? Why me? You can keep on asking that question. You're not going to get a satisfactory answer. Even if somebody gives you the a right answer. That's not going to be satisfactory because the mind will refuse to accept that answer.
Right.
And as long as using the mind, there is resistance. What you resist persists, and it's going to lead eventually to a certain kind of a depression. And you say, what's the point in living life? All those things starts coming in. But the better way, when you have impact of karma, the better way to deal with it is a confluence of mind and intellect, or the intellect. Intellect is clarity, reasoning, understanding. Either you gain it or you get the clarity from the borrowed clarity. Like for a medical issue from a surgeon, in a legal issue from a lawyer, or whatever. No, even business issue, you have a mentor. So when the impact of karma is dealt properly when you use your intellect or a confluence of mind and intellect.
Got it. But let's say, practically speaking, intellectually what you just said makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But if I'm a person who's going through that negativism in my life, and I'm going into that vortex, and so what could be those 2 or 3 things I can do?
Right.
Because that time my mind has taken over, my intellect is very weak, right?
Correct.
What are those 2 or 3 things one can do to come out of it,
Right.
Gradually or immediately, so that they can move towards sharpening their intellect and making sure that the mind and intellect work in balance? What are those things that one can do?
See, great question. This is the starting point of dealing with it gracefully. Why is this happening to me? Mind's direction, you will never get it. The same situation, what is this experience trying to teach me? Is there a lesson in this which I'm missing out? There is a hidden opportunity in this. So this is where you forcefully bring in your intellect.
Yeah.
One is to blame others or environment or people for what you're going through. Another is taking responsibility for your life's experiences. You're becoming accountable for your choices. And then that's why, what is this experience trying to teach me?
Yeah.
Is there a hidden lesson in this? Am I missing out on something which could be a triggering point for greater success in my life?
Sure.
This is where you're slowly trying to take responsibility. This is where slowly you're shifting from the mind's impulses, emotions, to some kind of a direction in thinking. You're asking the right questions. There is something this is trying to teach me. What is this lesson? Now, how can I convert this into a learning curve? I mean, I don't want to get bogged down by this. I don't want to be a victim of the situation.
Right.
I want to deal with it in the best possible manner. I want to rise above it.
Got it.
So you don't look at it as a problem, but you look at it as a challenge. It is a challenge. I need to go through it. This is where the power of your mind and intellect. See, for that you need to understand the power of mind and intellect. Whatever may be the past, the present, if it's done properly, the future is great. There's a saying, every saint had a past and every sinner has a future. Every saint had a past and every sinner has a future. And the words of John Milton, your mind in its own place can make a hell out of a heaven or a heaven out of a hell.
Right.
And you come from the great land of Kolkata, the great Swami Vivekananda. Conquer your mind, you'll conquer the world. Fall a prey to your mind, you become a victim of the world. You keep blaming and blaming and blaming. Blaming doesn't solve anything, but taking responsibility does. So this is where taking responsibility is, I am facing this situation. What can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me? And what are these hidden lessons?
Right.
And slowly then whatever your strength of intellect you're bringing in. And you say, these are the 2-3 choices, go ahead with it. And slowly making the right choice.
Right.
Eventually you are able to deal with it in the proper way. Like, there is this divinity in each one of us, the divine core. And there is karma which is functioning, another line. But there is this self-effort, your purushartha, your free will. So this is fully dependent on the individual, their quality of the mind and intellect, their value systems, their surroundings. You said you are able to deal with whatever you went through or you are born with. Great parents, what a blessing. Friends, like this satsangs, you are regularly attending lectures and you study, you contemplate, all that has put together
Yes.
into where you are now.
Right.
In fact, I give it unless you mention what you are born with, nobody will know. People have, as I mentioned, a small cut. It is very difficult. You're born with, I mean, you're born with certain thing absent in your body.
Correct.
As if, the package was sent incomplete.
Correct.
It is, therefore, ask the right questions. When you're going through difficult times, don't bring in your emotion. Don't bring in your mind. Use your intellect. Bring in clarity. If you don't have clarity, take the guidance of a person whom you have trust and faith. The moment you bring in your intellect, moment you bring in your mind, why me? Why is this happening to me? What am I? Why I should go through it? Can you anybody give a right answer, satisfactory answer?
Yeah.
The moment you bring in that confluence of mind and intellect, you are able to deal with it. That's it is difficult, but there's beautiful statement, right? In the poem, even this shall pass away. Pain is hard to bear, but with patience day by day, even this shall pass away.
Right.
Pain is hard to bear, but with patience day by day, even this shall pass away.
Right.
Many people have this notion, time heals everything. I differ.
Yeah.
Time may not heal. It makes you comfortable with a lot of problems. Right choices in the potential of time heals everything.
Yeah. And acceptance of that.
Acceptance.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
clarity leads to acceptance. Law of karma functions on cause and effect.
Right.
Eventually, acceptance is the further effect of a lot of causes.
Correct.
Lot of causes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is effect. Effect is nothing but cause concealed. Cause is nothing but effect revealed. They say. So acceptance is an effect. So many causes have gone in. So many causes have gone in. But it's all your effort. The environment, all that put together. Acceptance is king. Acceptance is power. Non-acceptance drains your energy. You got to be.
And for acceptance to exist in your life with so much of sharpness, I think what you mentioned, like, having a life where there's enough time for you to sit and reflect,
Right.
Do a bit of meditation, surround yourself with people, like-minded people who inspire you. The kind of lifestyle, I would say, one leads, sharpens your intellect and your mind simultaneously.
Right.
For you to move to that acceptance. Is that the right way to look at it?
You're right. I mean, I learned a few things from you. Is awareness. You're big on awareness, right? Awareness. I said, why is this man constantly troubling me with awareness? So, to answer your question, that put me on the track of thinking, contemplating. So, to deal with it, to bring in this possible change, I devised, reflected and brought about a course of action. 3 eyes to the third eye.
Okay.
Third eye is your eye of wisdom, not a fleshy eye.
Yes.
3 eyes. The first one is introvertedness. The first eye is introvertedness. That's what you mentioned. See, when we are not able to change that which is happening externally, when you are a product of karma,
Moving
destiny,
inward.
you go inward.
Yeah.
You try and improve yourself, whereby your responses to the world enhances, improves. So this is where your introvertedness. See, in the Western context, introvert means you're recluse, you're tucked away in a room. You are almost antisocial.
Yeah.
But in the spiritual context, in Vedantic terms, introvert means you don't blame anyone, but you take responsibility for your choices. Introvert. So that awareness that what I can control is my responses to the world. I mean, when I'm not able to control what's happening in my life, I step back, I work on myself so that my responses can be better. So the first stage will be introvertedness, where it could be, you understand, look here, blaming others doesn't work. I have to take responsibility. I have to work on myself. Then this is where I call awareness. There is awareness that I have to take responsibility for my choices. And then comes awareness makes you a little bit of a better introvert. Then comes influence. The first I is introvertedness. Second I is influence, as you mentioned, the influence of your parents. They made certain good choices. Your parents, your friends, the lectures you attend, the books you read, the places you visit, the kind of food you consume, the music you listen to. I've known most of the music I listen to is the one you listen to. And anything I suggest you take up to, you seem to like it as well. There's so many common, you use various, in fact, not only the other thing, sleep, proper sleep, whatever could be the medium of influence which makes you a better introvert, you have to employ it. That's why you're listening to lectures, attending lectures, your contemplation, external environment and your internal environment, meaning your parents and then your wife and friends, your travel, put all of them as an influence. So, to deal with ourselves well, to deal with karma well, first choice, introvert. You take responsibility for your choices. You understand, 7 out of 10, I can't control the outcome in my life. But I can control the way I respond to what life offers me. So, no blaming. You're taking a responsibility, accountable. You make yourself accountable. Second is influence. Each one of us are an influencer.
Right.
You have been a great influence in many people's lives. So many conversations has impacted me as well. The pulmonary valve. It is, I never knew about it. So that's the second part. And the third part is what I call as innovativeness. First is introvertedness. Second is influence. Third is innovate. Meaning now that you're introverted and you have a right influence, you innovate yourself. There are certain times where you have to, certain things doesn't work. You got to keep adapting yourself. You keep that resilience develops with when you are able to be innovative. It is the resilience. World may be tough. It may knock me down 2-3 times. 4th time I'll stand up and deal with it gracefully. It is so, innovativeness is where your clarity, your maturity starts functioning in the right manner. So, awareness, awareness and influence and resilience, which is the crux. But the 3 I's are introvertedness, influence and innovativeness. If all these 3 are there, you can deal with it. You can deal with karma gracefully.
So, Shriji, I think it's interesting what we've been speaking and talking about, but all of that impact an individual's life. So we spoke about what is karma, we spoke about its impact, we spoke about how to deal with it. But, I'll change gears to talk a little bit on the business side of things, because let's say I'm a second generation entrepreneur and I'm running a company. And every day I'm tasked to take action. And some of those actions can be pretty harsh, for the business. So the question is, how does one look at or deal with karma or see the impact of karma when an individual is running an organization, whether it is a family business or even professionally CEOs and MDs, when they are tasked to, let's say, respond to the shareholders and grow an organization, how does karma fit into that? If you could just tell a little bit about that.
Great question. This is a necessary learning for all entrepreneurs and top professionals. This is where I say, irrespective of their spiritual inclination, the learning about karma is essential even to function in a proper way, especially entrepreneurs like you who are on a regular basis making tough choices. Vedanta highlights that there are 2 types of people, passive and aggressive. The first type of passive person is one who functions on the mind. They're victim of their emotions. In fact, you're aware. A person who functions on the mind is very passive. What to do? It's all my fate. It means they have made a choice. That's the choice they have made. Another is aggressive. When I say aggressive, where you use your intellect in a constructive manner. Passive, there is two aspects: passively bad, passively good. Aggressive, there is two aspects: aggressively bad, aggressively good. Aggressively bad people are those who use their inner thinking in scheming, planning, putting another person down, getting something out of it. They're selfish. Their motives are wrong. So, Duryodhan and Saguni are great examples. Their choices, they are aggressively bad. Yeah. They could never win against the Pandavas in the right ways. They had to invite them for a game of dice.
Yes.
So, and then they win aggressively bad. And there are, even in corporate sector, there are aggressively bad people. Their choices arise from the mind, and they plan, scheme, things where others go through trouble.
Correct.
And that's going to lead to more problems. But our suggestion is, mind and intellect conversation, our suggestion is you have to become aggressively good. Okay. Entrepreneurs, top professionals. Aggressively good means you use your intellect, your power of thinking, clarity in all periods of time. All your choices arise either from the clarity of the intellect or a confluence of pure emotions and sharp thinking, confluence of mind and intellect. An aggressively good person is one who studies facts, reasons carefully, foresees consequences, and acts in the best interest of all. I repeat, an aggressively good entrepreneur, aggressively good professional is one who studies facts, who reasons carefully, who foresees consequences diligently, and acts in the best interest of all. At times, the choices and actions of an aggressively good entrepreneur maybe appear wrong, but it is beneficial to the core. It eventually benefits a large group of people. It could be you retrench a few people or key people. Eventually brings back the balance. Eventually brings back the productivity. And so that's why Shakespeare puts it beautifully. I'm at times cruel only to be kind. In the play Hamlet, I'm at times cruel only to be kind. So entrepreneurs, especially people in the helm of affairs, where your choices make a difference, has an enormous impact, not just on the productivity to your shareholders, in the stock market, in the product launches. You have to be aggressively good. Study facts, reasons carefully, foresee consequences, not in a negative manner. Foresee consequences, act in the best interest of all. At times, your actions may be tough, may not be accepted by...
And people may not see it
positively. May not see it. But eventually, what Rahul did was right. At that point of time, how can you do it? But that is how it is. So, a presence of one aggressively good individual, an entrepreneur, I think in an organization, in a family, in a society, in a country, does wonders. And history is an example to many aspects. Therefore, there is no point in being aggressively bad or passively good. Become aggressively good. So there are great examples. I find Ratan Tata is a great example.
Absolutely.
It is they were aggressively good. Study facts, reason carefully. Doing business in certain countries is not that easy. The foresee consequences, act in the best interest of all. If over 60% of Tata Sons' profit can go to good causes, can you imagine? One aggressively good series of leaders were able to impact. And they're all great examples. So is your father, so are you.
Right.
So this is essential.
Got it. Excellent. So now, as we come towards sort of the conclusion of our conversation, and I know we can go on for hours, but but let's conclude for the benefit of the viewers.
Right.
If I had to ask you that all that we have spoken, we've spoken a lot about individual, the impact of karma, how do you deal with it? We have now also spoken a little bit about the impact of it from an institutional perspective and how should leaders deal with it. What are those 2 or 3 main takeaways you want all of us to remember when we think of the word karma impacting in our life, and how should we deal with it? What are those 2 or 3 things that we should go away with from this podcast?
Few of it. Karma is something which nobody can escape. Good actions or bad action. You can't, no one can escape karma. You have to face karma. Karma does not work for you. Karma works with you. Repeat, karma does not work for you. Karma works with you. Karma doesn't function in the time you think is right. Karma functions in the time where it is perfectly suited in your life. You may say, why at that time it not work? Karma will manifest in a time which is absolutely pertinent for you. Next is align yourself with the best spiritual values. Whatever you think is value, as values. Value is a value only when you value it. It is so align yourself with high spiritual values. So whereby you become the co-creator of your karma. There's a beautiful statement. They say, grace is the spiritual reward for aligning yourself with the divine and you becoming the co-creator of your karma. Karma is functioning. Where you have high values, your self-effort, your choices are aligned with those values. And whatever is happening, you become the co-creator of your karma. Even in Tamil language it says, Vidiyai madiyal vella mudiyum. Meaning, Vidhi is destiny, fate. You can deal with it gracefully with the way you deal with karma. And finally, I want to tell all of you friends or viewers is, don't ask, why me for all the troubles? Please ask, why me for all the blessings? Why me for all the blessings? You are a great example. You have all the right to ask, why me for all the troubles? But I find you as one person who asks the question, why me for all the blessings? And as a result, you are where you are. You're dealt with karma gracefully. My wish and blessing is you deal with it even more gracefully. And as a result, eventually one person lived life well. The impact is phenomenal. So, one and all, don't ask why me for all the troubles.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Fiji.
Thank you.
I learned so much once again through our conversation, and I think everybody else listening to this podcast will immensely benefit. Thank you very much. Wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of us.
Thank you.